Welcome to a video from thedigital-lifestyle.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how I can recreate this analog mono synth, the Jen SX1000, on the Korg Modwave. And a few people, when I've been creating these collections, I've created Pink Floyd, Genesis, I've created Polysix, M1 sound packs for the Wave Station and the Modwave. And a few people have asked me, what's my thought process, how you go about doing that? And it really depends. If I'm doing something from listening just from a recording like on Spotify, then it's different than if I've got the virtual synth in front of me or if I've got the actual synth. In this demonstration, I'm going to use the actual synth, and this is my 1978 Jen SX1000, which I got for about 30 quid in the late 80s when nobody wanted analog mono synths anymore. So I'm recreating this using the Modwave, and I've also got the editor up here as well. So we're going to go straight into an initial patch and go from there. So the first one I'm going to create is this lovely PWM Bass sound. No reverb or anything on that, because I've got all that I can add to the Modwave. So I'm juggling a few different screens here, but I'm going to have a go. So we've got the initial performance. And the first thing I usually do is listen to the sound of it. You can hear the difference between pulse width, a square, and a saw. And that's all this synth has got. It's very limited. It has got two envelopes, so a separate envelope for the VCF, which is nice. So straight away I already know. I can just look. It's a pulse width modulation there, so I can select PWM on there, or pulse. Let's choose the pulse width on there. If I turn the pulse width down, you can hear it's just the square wave. It's set at 50, which is roughly where this will be, I guess. At 50, there we go. So if I wanted to hear that pulse wave on there. So I'm going to apply an LFO to it. We're going to use oscillator 1's LFO, and I'm going to turn off oscillator 2. We don't need that. It's a mono synth with a single oscillator. We could use that later to add a bit of extra effects, but we'll stick with the on for now, or off for now. So you can hear there. So we're now start to hear how we can apply that. It's going to take a bit of playing about now to get this to. If I go back to the Jen, we have got some envelope settings, so the filter comes in and the envelope comes in as well. I'm just going to open the frequency up so you can hear what it sounds like without any filter on there. So we can hear straight away, here that is too fast. And also, the Jen doesn't seem to get completely up to the 5% mark. It never gets to that mark. So if I hear this, it never gets that far. So it's going to, I guess, about 15%. So what we need to do is bring this down slightly. There we go, that's closer now. I'm going to drop it down an octave as well. And also I'm going to change the filter to a 2-pole low pass. Now we can start to hear it. Maybe I'll slow down. Okay. So I'm relatively happy with the oscillator. The next thing to look at is the envelopes. I've got a bit of a slow attack on the VCA, so I shall grab the VCA and do that one. And give it a bit of release time as well. Of course, the other thing we need to do is switch it to mono mode. Well, let's have a listen if this reach triggers. I think it is retriggering. Good bit of legato mode. Now we can see that the filter is down to 0. But if I turn the intensity off, so that's the amount that the filter cuts through, or the amount that this envelope affects the filter, you can kind of just about hear it, can't you? Through the noisy pots. So what I'm going to do is do what it does on the Jag, and hear it a little bit with the filter, and then with the filter intensity, then I'm going to make it go up, but not all the way, and I'm going to adjust the filter envelopes on here to give me a bit of a slow attack. Too much. There we are. So let's put this back on. There we go. So that is the sound. The envelopes I think are slightly shorter on the that's the sound. So I'm going to save that now. Incidentally, all these are available as a download from the digitallifestyle.com. We'll call that deep bass. Okay, now what we haven't done is put any effects on this. The Gen's dry, but I am going to put a bit of effects on there just to show you the kind of thing we can do with it. That's with that single oscillator. The other thing we could do, we could play about, bring the pulse width in, similar position, apply oscillator 1's LFO again, but just use a slightly different amount so they're not in the same positions. Tune this down a touch, tune that up a touch, bring that up. There we go, a bit of a monster one now. So we'll call this Jewel. And there we go, there's our two sounds now. Brilliant. Right, drop this for now. Back to single oscillator, put that back. Right, back to the Gen now. So now I'm going to go for a completely different sound. I'm going to go for a nice square lead. So square. Right, so now I've got a square lead sound. So for this, I'm going to switch back to initial performance. Actually, it'll be a bit easy. So I'm going to switch back to initial performance, put it back into mono mode, back to a single oscillator. We can select a square. Okay, envelopes, pretty much what we've got already. Bit of release time. Now the main difference is, I'm going to also change it to the 2-pole as well. We've got the cut-off frequency fairly low, and then we've got the LFO bringing in a bit of a peak of, so the envelope, sorry, bringing in a bit of peak of intensity, and then backing off again. So let's have a go and see what this sounds like. There we go, and put resonance on. Okay, that's nice. So that is our nice square lead. Now what we should do with that is on the tuning is have some pitch LFO with a mob wheel about 0.4 and a pitch LFO and some poly aftertouch. Now I know the LFO is going to have to, so if I whack that up, that pitch LFO needs to be a lot faster. So now I can. I haven't done is turn the velocity down. I suppose I should do to be realistic, as we did. I didn't do that before, and I should perhaps then use the intensity to control that. There we go. Then of course I can add some effects to that. Bit of stereo chorus. Let's go with a bit of cross delay and a bit of master reverb. So of course, as soon as you add effects, it kind of, it's a long way from the Jen now, but it sounds good though. So we can call this one Jen. So next I'm going to look at creating a bass sound. So we've got a short low bass sound using a sawtooth. So on the Modwave we've still got the square wave lead, which I'll leave and we'll edit that one and change it. So first thing I'll do is I'm just going to save this as bass so that we don't overwrite it. Okay, so I'll knock all the effects off. I can leave the compressor on, but let the other effects off. Okay, so we know we need a sawtooth wave. So I know we need a sawtooth wave, so I can adjust that to sawtooth position. I could have selected sawtooth, but so we've no resonance on this one, and we've got a short envelope, so I could turn the resonance down. And I know that envelope I can trim down as well, so let's change that to a nice short envelope with a bit of release. Drop the octave down. I'm just going to trim that, adjust that cutoff. So I think I may be a bit more decay. Oh, on this one I turn the release down nice, so let's turn the release down. So still sounds a little bit brighter, so I think what we need is probably a bit more filter intensity, just to accentuate that. If we look at the filter envelope on the Jen, I made them a quite small envelope, which is pretty much what I've got already on here, but let's just try that. So now it sounds a bit brighter, so perhaps I just need to bring that intensity slightly down. That's it. So there's our bass sound. I won't put any chorus on it, but I will put a bit of the cross delay on there. So to finish off, I think I'm going to go for like a, well, we've got the sawtooth, go for like a nice sawtooth lead. So up the octave, Let's change the envelope to a long. I'm going to turn the filter down, which is down already actually. Let's have a bit of vibrato on it. Okay, that's it. So there we've now got, so I've just randomly created a sawtooth lead with a bit of vibrato on there. Bit too much release on that. That's probably better. Okay, so on the Modwave we can turn off the echo. I know I can up the octave, keep with the sawtooth wave, change the envelope, so I made this a nice sort of longer envelope. So let's go that with a longer envelope with a bit of release time in there. And as for the filter, I've kind of pretty much left the filter. If I open the filter up, you hear extra brightness, but so we've got that sort of attack of the filter. So I think all we need to do now is just adjust that filter. Oh, actually I upped it another octave, didn't I? So let's go from there. Not too much on that. You can definitely hear more filter intensity on that. That's it. Now we've got the LFO on the VCO, so I can go here to the tuning. I could use any of the generators. That's the nice thing about Modwave, you can use any, but I'll use the pitch one, that makes sense. And let's try some intensity that. The LFO is also affecting the VCF as well, with the same one, it's a shared one. So what I'll do is I'll put that pitch LFO on there as well. Now you can hear the LFO immediately on the Modwave. On the Jen, even though there is no delay control for the vibrato or anything for the LFO, it doesn't come straight in. I think that's because the envelope is opening up through the VCF envelope. The VCF envelope is opening up the filter, and then you hear the effect of the filter. So to reproduce that, what we can do is go to the LFO we use, which was the pitch one, wasn't it, on both. And I can maybe just fade that in slightly. That's probably more like it. And yeah, that's it. The pitch actually is fairly subtle when you listen to the Jen. It's more on the filter. Yeah, there we go. I guess mine is still slightly brighter, but we could just reduce that intensity down a bit. I would say that the filter effect is slightly subtler on the Jen. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to call that LFO lead. There we go. I've modelled now the Jen on here. So as you can see, the process is a combination of using what you can see in terms of the controls and the pop controls, but they're not like for like. This is a over 40-year-old synth, and analog. Apart from it has a digital oscillator at the start of the thing, but basically it's analog beyond that, so that's why it doesn't go out of tune. But apart from that, everything else is is analog, with noisy pots as well, like you heard with the cutoff earlier on. So yes, you've got the front panel controls, but there's nothing like using your ear to figure it out. So it gives you a lot of clues, gets you on the right path. But as you've seen with the delayed LFO or the fading LFO, it's just a question of getting your ear in to try and replicate them. So you're never going to be able to recreate the quirks of a 1978 analog synth on a modern synth. If I got another Jen given to me and you put all the pots in the same position, I'd be surprised if they sound exactly the same. That's the great thing about analog synths. There are things you can do on the Modwave to make that, to get that randomness as well. You could, for example, my pots are a bit low, a bit noisy, so the LFO speed and things don't always work very well. So you could use the motion sequencer to introduce some randomness. There is a random element on there which we could use, but as the DCO is actually really stable on this, I don't need to do that. It's other controls. So what I could do is say on the envelope, yeah, the envelopes aren't as sharp as a modern synth, so maybe I could just bring that in slightly. Yeah, that's pretty much, I could just move that attack. The other thing I could do is I could make this filter slightly different each time I play a note. I could include using an LFO to do it, or sample hold, free running, so it's changed it slightly. So I could say go to generators, we could use oscillator 1's LFO, put a bit of effect on it, go to the LFO of oscillator 1, make it free running, which means it'll just constantly run, it doesn't get re-triggered, change it to sample hold. So you can hear it kind of into that noisiness. And of course the other thing, you could put a bit of noise in there. The Jen does have noise, so if we wanted to recreate that a bit, let's just get rid of that other thing I was showing you. We could put some white noise on there. Let's just call that noise lead. So those are the things you can do with it. Like I said, you can do randomness, you can use the key on velocity to change the filter slightly, and things like that. There's loads of things you can do. You can use the motion sequencer to constantly be changing the filter cutoff very gradually, randomly, on key press by using the motion sequencer. So you could set different values there. You could put a note on advance, and every time you press a key, the filter would be slightly different value depending on that, because you've got this note on advance. So as you can see, it goes through to the next note. So if I did it on there, say note on advance, it would go through to the next note. So you have got those options to do stuff like that as well. So there we are, that's our Jen SX1000. Obviously I could do a lot more with this, but I could just recreate all of them. I'm pretty confident I can recreate anything on here. So thanks for watching this video. I'm going to do a few more of these. Thanks to the people that suggested I do this video as well. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get our subscribe numbers up a bit, so you'll be doing me a great favour if you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.